This discussion we have Mr. Shivkumar Pandey, Group CFO, BSP India, Ms. Lakshmi Naran, Road to Market Leader, IBM Security, and Mr. Jayant Gupta, Chief General Manager, HPCL, and Mr. Anand Pandey, Senior Vice President and CISO, JSTN. So now I would request moderator to please drive this session. Thank you very much, sir.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion. We have a very important topic to discuss today, CDC from physical to virtual. If you look at today's scenario, after the spread of COVID, virtual has become the norm of the day for any technology, any solution. We've seen the reduction of movement and availability of people physically around our offices and data centers. However, these are not the only reasons for moving from physical to virtual. Cyber Defense Center is in an evolution phase with advanced technologies coming into picture, which were generally not there as part of SOC. So we have had SOC 1.0, 2.0, and so on. The necessity of virtual comes in the use of AI and ML and automation, preempting attacks and taking action on suspected attacks, which is seen to be rising. Typically, blue team and red team forms the part of CDC. Overall, the CDC looks at all these strategies in not only from the operations perspective, but overall strategy perspective. So let me welcome our panelists once again, Mr. Shivkumar Pandey, who's working as Group Chief Information Security Officer in Asia's oldest stock exchange, BSE Limited, has 20 plus years of industry experience in cybersecurity and IT risk delivery. He has been honored with various awards, top 100 CISO award for last 7 consecutive years, best cybersecurity practice in CIA from NASCOM, and so on. The list goes on and on. Anand Pandey is a security professional with more than 20 years of experience in InfoSec IT governance, risk management, and compliance. He has an expertise in transforming complex compliance requirements into user-friendly work processes. Currently, Anand is working with GSTN as CISO with a responsibility to manage cybersecurity, privacy, and quality management. Lakshmi Nair is a seasoned cybersecurity professional with over 18 years of experience. In her current role, she is the route to market leader for APAC MEA with IBM, where she works closely with clients and stakeholders in this region to facilitate penetration and increase footprint of security services. She's a passionate leader and a cybersecurity evangelist. Lakshmi is the chair of Women in Security Excelling India chapter consisting of 600 plus members. Is also an ambassador of multiple initiatives for diversity and women in technology with IBM and outside. She's one of the founding member and General Secretary of Women in Cybersecurity India chapter. Was featured as Women Security Achiever in CISO magazine, Top Women Security Influencer, and Women of Influence Award by Executive Women's Forum. So welcome all to this panel discussion. Let us start with Shivkumar. You have a lot of experience and you are into an exchange which handles all the transactions, many transactions in fact, and is very important from the critical sector perspective. Could you narrate your experience in your journey from typical SOC to a CDC?
So, good evening, everyone. So, we talk about, like the traditional security operations center is mainly depend upon the defined sets of rules, signature-based technologies, or only to identify, report, and prevent only for the known attacks. And now we are talking about, cybersecurity is very dynamic in nature. And now nowadays we're talking about there are lots of sophisticated associated attacks are also increasing. So now there's a need of, next gen cybersecurity operations center, or you can call it the cyber defense center. So where where traditional SOC cannot stand effectively against the threats of the today's or tomorrow's, there we can not only detect, prevent, and but we can how quickly you can respond on those attacks is all about cyber defense center. So the transmission of SOC to the cyber defense center is all about the revamping your SOC from people, process, and technology, all the three aspects. So, we have successfully implemented, next gen cybersecurity operations centers 3 years back only, and now we have implemented a state of art technology in most of the technology aspect, and plus people and process also we have integrated on the same. It's like it is all about the NIST framework on the same.
Wonderful. So, rightly said, the response to the imminent attack, which is there or is coming up, is the need of the hour, and that would be one of the critical factors in determining how good your defense center is. Anand, would you be able to help us with the building blocks that you are bringing up as part of your movement in GSTN from SOC to CDC?
Yeah, thanks. Good evening, all. So we have also started marching our journey towards the CDC, and currently, say we are over a period of time we have good learning of a couple of years since we have started, and then now we are moving to slowly adopt the emerging technologies such as AI, ML, EEBA or NBA or FBA, and so on and so forth. The whole objective of moving to the CDC or next generation SOC is to have the predict and prevent the cyber threats or cyber attacks. So as a part of step 1, we are upgrading our SOC with the latest technologies. At the same time, we are now working on taking it to the next level through the security analytics, the IR, and all other plethora of integrating the different threat into TI grids. At the same time, doing the threat hunting and handling other aspects of shifting the overall detection and remediation to the left side. So this is what is all about our need to moving slowly to CDC. We being the critical information infrastructure and collecting the revenue for Government of India, the security is one of the prime key design and the focus area also. So hopefully we will soon reach to the so-called SOC 2 or CDC shortly.
Great. Yeah. So AIML, yes, is the main thing for getting a better value out of the response center. Lakshmi, you've been on the other side of the table where we are all on the consuming side and the user side. You come from the service provider side or the consultant side. So, what are your views on how is it shaping up this whole area?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So, when I talk about how, as a service provider, we see this shift and need in the market, I wanted to take a step back and bring a bit of statistics into what is that the customers are seeing. There are some external factors, there are some internal pressures that every customer that we have been discussing will see. So the external factors are like, the data breach, the time to identify the data breach has been increasing. So year on year, if we compare that in 2019 to 2020, there is a difference of around 190 days to 211 days today. And even the cost of data breach is being increasing over year and year. And another interesting fact is that if there is an average 211 days at worldwide, but in India, if you look at the days average number of days to even detect a breach is 313. Yeah. So, and there is another, next phase of how do we contain after we identify the breach. So these are some of the external factors that we see that organizations are finding and compelled to look at the next gen SOC or CDC for their protecting their data and infrastructure. And internally, especially security has been a function which is enabling the business all the time. We also see that there is a constant pressure of how do we reduce, the cost of resources? How do we reduce the running cost, capex and opex both, and increase the availability of the SOC operations, and at the same time demonstrate ROI for the security investment. So these are certain interesting factors that we have seen that combining both of these organizations are embarking their journey to the next generation SOC. And some of the key considerations that across the board that we have seen, as I said, reducing the response time, at the same time reducing the high response cost, and also how quickly you can respond to the incidents and how effectively that you can work on the incident response plan using frameworks like MITRE or maybe NIST frameworks. So these are some of the things that I've seen that the clients put at forefront when they are discussing about, yes, we wanted to embark on the journey to CDC.
Great. 313 days is a long time to detect a breach, definitely. We have seen cyber defense centers practices starting in India. One of the leading information technology organization has started selling the services, and a couple of others are also selling in India. So, Shiv, what are the challenges you see for the organizations that are planning to move from SOC to CDC? What is your approach has been the challenges that you have seen?
See, moving from traditional SOC to the next gen SOC, required a lots of commitment also. You are moving from the legacy system to the new systems. And lots of, from people and process, along with that, lots of new technologies required. If we talk about us, like using from AL and ML, if I take from NIST framework also, from prevention, like anti-APT solution, WAF, anti-DDoS solution, data leakage prevention, or PIM, or this kind of solution, and that also in the integrated fashion, so that because integration and automation is very important, where the less human intervention is required, and most of the thing you can automate, because your infrastructure is so big, you cannot depend everything on the human base. That is the one thing. And if you talk about the detection point of view, also most of the technology should be integrated, like you required SIM, AI and ML, you required, UPA kind of required, and the proactive approach is required. So implementing all those things is in a one shot from the legacy system is a challenge. And then the skill, if you talk about the cybersecurity point of view, skill resources is again a big challenge nowadays, and retaining them on the skill resources is again a big challenge.
Yeah, that is in fact one of the biggest challenges that we need to face. So another,
I would like to here highlight on the BSc point of view, especially on the cyber crisis management plan. So unlike for the others, when we plan for cyber crisis management plan, we are not only looking only from a technical incident point of view or something. So it's include like technical incident management, real-time forensic capability, regulator coordination, top management information, media management is even more important, law enforcement agencies, your cyber insurance. So all these, there are multiple departments are involved when you are handling a critical cyber security incident, because it is not only hampering your loss of your damage of your money, but your reputation loss, and one small incident is also can hamper in a big way. So you keep on doing a simulation and taper-top exercise on regular basis to get the effectiveness of your CDC. Otherwise, then at the time of the crisis, then you will be in trouble.
Yes, you're right. And all of us who are part of the critical sector, and definitely BSC, if it stops for a minute also during the trading cycle, it would cause havoc. We also at
microsecond as per the SLA which we are committing to the end users.
Right. So it becomes very important to safeguard the operations. Refineries are 365 days, 24/7, and it becomes very essential to ensure that the threats are blocked before they even originate, and that's where the typical CDC would come into play. Anand, you also come from one of the more critical places, GSTN, and it's again one of the more important places as far as critical sector is concerned. What has been your biggest challenge in the movement that you saw from SOC to the CDC?
So I concur with what Shiv Kumar has already covered. Few of the challenges. One of the most critical challenges is the skills or the talent gap and retaining that talent, because once we move to CDC, not many tools, technologies, and other new emerging areas are involved, and the skills are required in that area. Secondly, when moving to the next gen SOC or CDC, it comes in various flavors, right? So it's kind of it's a virtual SOC is there, or hybrid SOC is also option is also. So while I think say we move to CDC, so I think from challenges perspective, say skill is there, scalability is there, the talent retention is there. Then say on the operational front, basically generating the contextual, actionable, say intelligence, so as to minimize the noise or false, so that the analyst or the CDC can focus on the alerts which are required to protect the business. So these are some of the challenges, and say we may deploy any tool or technology, but at the end of the day, it depends on how it is getting managed, how effectively it is getting managed, and what is the longevity in that effectiveness, which comes through the process maturity, skills availability, the flexibility to scale up operations as and when required. Check the, as Shiv correctly identified or said, that check the availability of all these things and continuously testing of that. So that is required. So as Shiv said, we also perform the DR drills and move from one data center to another data center every quarter. And so far, we could manage the movement in committed timelines. So we actually shift the entire SOC operations from one center to other center, and then we monitor. But yes, these are few challenges. But yes, then if the informed call is taken, probably the challenges over a period of time can be handled. It's not difficult to address these challenges in coming days.
But I would like to add what Anand is absolutely right, it pointed out. But one of the major challenges is today about the CDC is the integration of all kind of logs. Whether so I'm starting from server, the infrastructure, the databases, and especially application log, and that too also in-house application when it is in a legacy system. And the effectiveness of your CDCs come only when all types of logs are at centralized base and integrated, and then only, because see, if you talk about us, we are using almost all kind of tools, and we have that leverage because we are in such kind of services that we can't even lose a fraction of second downtime. So we are using almost all kind of tools, but then integrating all the logs and getting maximum output again is a big challenge. It's a big challenge.
Right. So Lakshmi,
hybrid environment where you have a cloud, where you're on premises, your application, some of the application is on cloud, some of the application are on premises, and some of them and different DR. So integrating everyone, and that we are doing. We don't have any option.
yeah, so I think the canvas is pretty large. So Lakshmi, with such a big canvas and so many technologies as Shiv and Anand brought out, rightly so, and new technologies coming into picture, what is the maturity level in these? How do you, as a service provider, see the maturity of these products or these services in delivering the value to the customer?
Yeah, so the maturity is something that is a continuous process, right? So as we every day there is a new challenge, new kind of threat that's something that we see in the market, and the maturity journey is something which earlier it used to be in phases like defined, then you have repeatable, then you have then you have the next level like we had the COBIT or CMMI level. So we used to have that. But then when I look at next gen or future of CDCs, it's supposed to be a continuous journey that we see. So especially, if you look at dividing the different aspects into the basic building blocks of any CDCs for the matter, people, expertise, intelligence, response, analysis, content and collection. So all of this, right from the people and expertise, where the earlier SOC was entirely a people-dependent space. We had people looking at the alerts and then comparing that with inputs and then deciding, okay, this is an incident, should I escalate it? Should I raise a ticket to the network team, etc.? So that used to happen. So now we are moving to an assisted a space where we have playbooks to look at. Now we are moving to a space where we don't need people to just do eyes on glass monitoring, whereas we need people who can objectively analyze inputs from multiple threat intelligence sources powered by AI and ML, which will first remove most of your false positives and give you only the sensible ones. And then yet again, the people will have to do that analysis and derive the right output out of it. And to some extent, the future CDCs are going to a place where even auto escalation of alerts is something that we see that's happening with so much of intelligence built into this space. Now, response, as Mr. Shivkumar said, it is when there is an incident, there are so many partners involved. How do we orchestrate and automate the whole response process? So having a playbook, have them automated in your response response tool, incident response tool, follow through a security orchestration and automation response solution is another thing that earlier it was just having a tool, but now it is all automated and orchestrated response that we see or we will see in the next generation of SOC that's seeing. Then another one is the analysis. Like I said, earlier it was just the people looking at and taking a decision. Then we have multiple tools coming in with inputs from threat intelligence across the world and bringing those insights to the analyst. They can take an informed, very objective decision. And there are attack simulation techniques that are being used or that are being implemented in the future CDCs to validate each of these threats towards the MITRE attack framework, and not just the SIEM technology that we are kind of believing now. We have other proactive other technologies like EDR and NDR spaces. There is a proactive threat hunting that we do using these attack simulation campaigns to prevent these incidents from happening even before they occur. So it is not just about an SIEM tool with so many log sources integrated. It is also about multiple threat hunting tools and threat hunting techniques that we use. There are a lot of manual threat hunting attack simulation techniques that we need the experts to bring in to take the organization to the next gen. And the last one, which is a very important point that both the gentlemen brought in, is the content and collection. With so many log sources that we have today, and what we see in the next generation SOC is that we have an integrated space log integration space where your IT and OT coming together. You no longer have an IT SOC and an OT SOC separately. You have your IoT devices integrated, your cloud platforms, like you have native cloud solutions for SIEM, so for the event monitoring. Those are getting integrated to one single source where you can see that all of them are bringing in the required intelligence for the organization. So this is what we see, where we see the industry is moving to with all these technologies and the expertise that we are bringing on board.
Yeah, you're right. There are a lot of blue team and red team exercises that have been pumped into CDC, and definitely without automation, it cannot run. Now, we are coming to a fag end, Lakshmi. I just wanted your inputs on, since we are discussing the virtual part and courtesy COVID, people have accepted the virtual part in almost all sphere of life. However, security always remained a kind of umbrella which people didn't want really to leave out to virtual. Some of it has been removed. But what is your thoughts on the kind of comfort that we can still get from virtual?
So, based on our experience with multiple customers and serving customers across the world, right? So, we have always been assured a few things. One, availability. Second, expertise, the right skill set of the people who can support. And third, data security, which is many times the customer concern, right? What happens to my data that my team is handling virtually, right? So that's something that we've seen, something that we've taken extra care to support the customers. Many times, it's not as simple where we say everything can go virtual. With the regulations, country-specific regulations that we see, many customers would want the operations to be closer to them. It's not always virtual. So while virtual has its own strengths, and we are supporting a lot of customers with all these assurance, availability, the data security, and the skills that we come on board. But there are local regulatory aspects that we still see where we are bringing the operations closer to the customers. Be it in India, we have a SOC that is serving the customers in India. In other regions of the world where we have strong regulations, we have customers being served closer to their region. So it's a custom approach, I would say, not a standard one size fits for all that suits to every customer. So it depends on the specific needs, and the customer need is what drives the market, and definitely the custom approach is what we have seen succeeding here.
Yeah, great. So it's wonderful to listen to you, Anand, Lakshmi, and Shiv. I hope our viewers would have enjoyed this, listening to this discussion. I take you back to DSCI for the next event. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank you all the panelists for sharing your insights. Thank you very much.
you.